Welcome to Crafts and Minis. This is the week 17 of doing the hashtag hobby streak, where every day I do just a little bit in the hobby and I take a picture, post it on Twitter, and then every Monday I share with you a video of the progress that has been made. And this week I did okay. I'm pretty proud of the progress. It wasn't a stellar week production-wise, but I pushed through on some models that I was really happy to be able to finish. And let's just dive in. First things first. Yes, that's an Umber Hulk. Whoop. You know, if you've watched these videos, I do my Umber Hulks on days where I just don't have that much time. And this Umber Hulk is from Nolzur's, of course. Primed all the black all the way around, white from the top. It gives it that two-tone priming job. So from the top it's lighter, from the bottom it's darker. You can see it there. And I do two washes. One with a Liquitex acrylic artist ink of a reddish brown, and then I do from Vallejo, from the 200 milliliter tub, a sepia wash. My dad just corrected me today that it's sepia, not sepia, like I like to say, and he made fun of me pretty good. But it was with love. It's always with love. And so that's what this does. Now, if you notice, this sepia wash gives kind of a gritty feel. And I've pointed that out before, but I really like it. And you'll see it on some other models that I really liked. And you can kind of tell from the carapace here. Dad, correct me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, of course. Like these little spots are all from how the wash kind of settled in different parts. And I couldn't have done that if I tried, right, to have that effect. But I just really like it. He's grungy, he's dirty. You don't want to come across him in the Underdark or above ground. He's an Umber Hulk. Also this week, I did some Reaper miniatures. And this bat-looking guy was a lot of fun to do. I did 6 of them. And they turned out pretty well. Got some reddish eyes in there. And I really liked using the washers, the 1-inch washers on these, because I didn't want to cut the feet from the integral base. You know how a bunch of Reaper miniatures, almost all of them, come with that molded on lump of base. Well, these, I wanted to keep them on because it's not, the ankles aren't very strong, and if I cut the feet off there, I'd be trusting way too much a small surface area to glue to the base, and that's not cool. So I was really happy with how these turned out by putting the integral base right on the washer and then using my basing pumice on top of it, and it worked out nice. And just a reminder, if you're tuning in and I haven't said this, I will go back later and put tufts of grass on these. I do that after I do the varnish coat, right? The dull coat, the matte varnish, not before. I mean, you totally can put it on before. I don't think matters at all. But that's just how I am. I wait to do it until later. Now, what's kind of cool is you're going to use these in an upcoming game, which I'm really excited about. There was a question on Twitter that was going around, do you paint for games or do you just paint what's next in your queue, what you have lying around? How do you do it? And I do a mix of both, right? Obviously the Umber Hulk, I painted just because it's easy to do. But these I painted because I'm about to use them in my games. Others I just paint because it's just time to get them done, right? They go to the top of the list. That was this guy. Now, he was a bit of an experiment. This is a figure from Nano Metal Figs, which I do a video on these. Where I took the Big Hero 6 Betamax and I turned him into a golem. Well, this is from Harry Potter. This is Snape, I believe. Don't get after me too bad. I'm not a Harry Potter guy. But I really liked these. These Nano Figs were neat, and I had to take their integral base off on most of them. Now, some of them I just clipped the edges and glued them to the base. But you see, I used one of my counting chips, the teacher's counting chips, the cheap old plastic base here, which worked out great. Looking back, I probably should have glued them to a metal base, but that's all right. Metal figures I do prefer to put on metal bases. But But he's standing up fine. It's all working out. It's a little bigger than 28 millimeter scale, but just remember, people come in all different shapes and sizes, so he's a little tall. I tried to avoid painting him up in the classic kind of black, dark outfit with dark hair. I kind of went as much opposite of that as I could. Lighter outfit with white hair. And it looks pretty good, I think. I mean, I was happy. Quick paint job. Worked out nice. Getting those integral bases off are crazy hard, though. I don't know if it's worth the effort. I mean, obviously I did it. It's fine. I wouldn't seek out these figures, though, unless you're getting like a really good deal, which you can get them for $1 each still at some places. But I noticed some stores like Target in the United States was putting them on clearance. So maybe they're not going to be that available. And if you really like certain ones, go get them. I have a few more from this line that I'm excited to paint up. But this was kind of just a test piece to see how it would all work and come together. And it worked out really well. Now, if you look like, compared to this guy, the dude with wings to his head is not 28 millimeters. But you can kind of see this guy towers over him if you were just going to view it that way. I would say he's probably like a 32 or 34 millimeter scale fig if you go to the top of the head, probably 32 if you go to the eyes. That's just a guesstimate based on my experience with figures, with minis, but I think that's about right. If you're super hung up on scale, they're not exactly 28, so don't get them if you are too concerned about that. But you know what? My collection now at this point is all over the place scale-wise, and I really respect people who want to like have that crisp-looking table. But for me, I'll let a little thing like that go. A couple other things, obviously. This guy was fun. Super easy paint job. Just did that sepia wash all over it. And this is a little bit of a challenge, right? So this was a Funko toy, one of the mystery box toys. You buy the boxes and you don't know what toy comes in them. Well, I got this at like a secondhand store, and it's from Gears of War, one of the characters in there, one of the bad guys, and it's a sci-fi figure, right? I mean, the armor and all that was supposed to be sci-fi like. So instead, I painted it, this sepia color, this brown, and then did some different brown tones in there also at different points to try to make it look like a type of leather. And yeah, it's okay. Maybe that could pass as some leather work, I guess, for a fantasy setting. But it's fine. It came out all right. The skin, on the character, I think is like gray, so I went with the purple, and then turned out fine. Nothing too spectacular. I kind of liked that his one eye was closed more, and so I just went with it. I'm like, either he's blinking at you, hey, or he lost an eye. So there you go. And the blade is interesting, right? Oh, that looks horrible. Sorry, my paint job on that blade was crazy quick. On that side, it looks much better. That side, not so much. That side, better. But from arm's length, remember the 3-foot rule on the table. He's fine. And of course, what do we say? Done is beautiful, like they say. I got that phrase from an awesome local group, the Mocan Miniature Painters for Missouri and Kansas in the United States, and a fantastic group of painters that I love checking in on, and they say that all the time, done is beautiful, and I totally agree. And that was my take with these. Now, these are undead creatures from the Rune Wars game from Fantasy Flight. Now, these are the Rune Wars that Blandco does a great video and did a live stream of painting up some Rune Wars figures. I don't know if this line is being discontinued. You can get them on deep discount online. If you look at different places, at my local game store, they're 40% off, which is awesome. And I really liked these particular figures. They were a lot of fun. They're on 2-inch washers, so large-size creatures, which is great for undead. You just don't see enough, like, wraith or, phantom-type large-size undead. At least I don't see it enough. And at first, I did not like my paint scheme that I was going with. I did my same priming, two-tone prime, black all around, white from the top, the zenith all right, from when the sun's at its zenith. Someone recently on a video noted that was where it was from, and I think that was Jeremy at Black Magic Craft, and I love that way to do it. And Jeremy, you did an awesome job on your Frostgrave warband, by the way. I love as you know, the Toon Tone priming. And for these, I then went over all the robes, all the cloth with an indigo, a blue indigo color. And it worked out really well, but then it just didn't look right. It was like, oh gosh, these look so clean. At least they did before I put that sepia wash all over. And so that's what I did. And you can tell these are dirty, 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 like you would see if it just came up out of the ground, right? And has been rolling around in the dirt. And obviously is an undead creature, so if cleanliness is next to godliness, these guys are not clean, right? So they worked out really well. And they have the integral base that would come on them that I clipped off, and you can kind of see how straight that connection is from the cloth to the base because they come on like a 2-inch by 1-inch pill-sized integral base that I just chopped off, and it works out fine on these 2-inch bases, large-sized creatures. And I have a couple more at least of those to do, maybe more than that. I'll have to go check my pile. On Black Friday, I went nuts getting some of these Rune Wars figures, and I'm just getting around to assembling them, rebasing some. You know, I got to decide whether I want to keep the thicker integral base on the medium-sized figures, just the 1-inch base that they come with, or if I want to remount them on bases that are thin, right? Like my teaching chips that are thin compared to then like the thicker integral base. I do like to have round bases on my fantasy stuff now, and I'm trying to be consistent with thickness, but I don't care that much. I do like having consistent basing, though, at least color-wise. That's worked out really well. Although I have some bases from Rune Games, that great company out of the UK that does so much quality work with plastic bases that are like cobblestone. And those I'm excited just to paint up as cobblestone bases for some Town Guard types. So this is my week 17. I appreciate you always checking in. I hope this just gives you some encouragement. This was another week. I didn't have a ton of time. I felt like I got a good variety of stuff when I can get medium-sized bad guys and large-size bad guys for D&D painted up. Awesome. Just more to the pile, right, to choose from. So I hope you got a little inspiration. I encourage you to check out all the great channels out there and go get after your hobby.